Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are on the face of planet Earth. It could be good morning, it could be good afternoon. Here in the UK, it's good evening. I am Her Royal Highness Princess Moradin Adedun Shulani, and it's Arize Conversations with Princess Moradin. Today I have an amazing guest, all the way from Cameroon, West Africa, the heartbeat of the Pan-African continent. He's an amazing person who wears several caps. Some of you might know him, some of you might have heard of him, and some of you will be quite pleased and delighted to know him and meet him tonight. My guest this evening is, of course, Mr. Alene Magete, and we're live on Heritage Television, your Pan-African TV station. Nice to have you.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here myself.
Everybody's jumping on, wanting to watch, wanting to listen to you. It's amazing, this combination that we have with both of us. Right. The first thing I'd like to ask you is, who is Alene Magete?
Alene Menget is from Cameroon. It was a certain night. I don't know if it was a night or... I'm sure my father met with my mother 41 years ago in some town called Mbengui, and I was formed through fetus. Through fetus, and I grew with my mother. So I come from Cameroon, born in Mbengui some time ago. My father was somebody, he was, but still somebody, because he lives in the spirit that I emulate a lot. My father was one of, we went to school very early. So I'm one of the few people that was born in Africa when the father already had a degree, and he read literature. Reading literature meant that I had to learn 1 or 2 words every day in my life.
He was a man of words.
Yeah, so I learned a lot from him. So that's it. I'm Menget. After learning so many things from my father at home, I went to school, PSS Mancon, extremely prestigious school where I come from. Then after that, PHS, Presbyterian boarding school in Batibo. I went to the prestigious University of Boya, where I read history. And my history, it's that history I hate telling people, the kind of history I read. I read the European history. I read the American history before I read the Cameroonian history, which means then the syllabus was me learning things I would have not learned, which turned out to be an advantage. After my degree, I did investigative journalism on a course with the World Bank. But my advantage over the journalist I think I move around is because I read history. So I know why some stories happen. I know why Israel and Palestine will have a problem. I know why the Biafra would want to get. So because of history, I got into this field of journalism. Now, after training through journalism and now making money, people will want to do other things. So I went into production, learned a bit. After being editor-in-chief for TV, managing about 3 radio stations, the next thing was, oh, you need to start building something, or you need to start handling the camera. And so I became a movie producer, comedian. I train people how to sing sometimes. I play all musical instruments, and yes. And the most significant of what I think I am is the fact that I think and do things. So I have an extremely creative mind. So in a nutshell, that's me. I'm also an actor. I went into movies like an actor because of challenges. Once I was running a radio station, and I used to criticize lots of Nigerian movies to my workers. And one day I got into the newsroom and they were saying he likes criticizing without knowing I was behind. He's always saying that he knows movie. And the next day when I heard auditions were in town with some Nigerians, I went there to prove to these workers that I meant what I was talking about. That's how I got into movie. It was a challenge, yeah.
So you were not just talking the talk.
Yes, of course. Of course. That's what took me to movie.
Thank you so much for giving us a brief nutshell about who Alene Menget is. And when you were speaking, you said something that got me thinking. You were talking about being a student of history and how history is ever so important to us as human beings, particularly as people from that African continent.
Yeah.
And then the words of the great Pan-Africanist, the father of Pan-Africa himself, Dr. Mosiah Marcus Garvey to mind as we're speaking. And he said, a people without knowledge of their history or from whence they came are like a tree without roots. And I usually add, they will surely die. And that's how important history is to us.
Just like the name of your TV, Heritage.
Exactly. The name came from so many things that we thought about and put together, and by the leading of God, we knew this is the way to go. Because without a heritage, who are we really? We're really nothing.
Yeah, that's true. Especially with the kind of complexity we have in our history, where most of our history has been told to us by other people.
Can you imagine?
And so, but you see, we've come of age where Africans know their history. We see that some minds have developed to get to the point where we could challenge some of the stories that were told about us, especially the negative imperialist stories, that we will want to match up with our present-day character to figure out that lots of parts of Africa were still doing very good before the imperialists came over.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. What I want to do also on this show is a special live broadcast to honor, obviously, Pan-Africanism that I know both of us are very passionate about, but also to honor who we are for the now. We talk a lot about doing things for the coming generation. We've got to first fix it now, so that the coming generation will have something tangible to hold on to. So we're going to be talking, weaving through politics, entertainment, media, journalism, film production, and fashion, humor, because I also know that you're a humor.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
What is it to have a radio station? Why would you have a TV station? How important is that to us as a people? So, which one do you want me to start with first?
From anywhere.
Okay,
I'll be ready to go from anywhere. Yeah.
So let's start with politics. I'm an animal of politics. And I believe that all of us are politicians, even if we're not participating in politics.
Yeah.
If you have an idea, if you have a thought, if you have your own version of anything, you're a politician.
That's true. That's true.
So, what do you think of the politics of Africa from way back when we started fighting and agitating for our independence to maybe the last 20, 25 years and to now? Because a lot has...
Yeah, we have been used up.
We've been used up.
We don't do politics. We don't, in Africa, most countries don't do politics, and the politics in definition is the political way of life and influence on people. And in Africa, we don't even follow politics. We follow what the imperialists put on what we consider politics. I'll explain to you why. Most of everything that's happened in Africa has been dictated to us, either through tension or through threats that we don't see. So coming down to talk about politics, I'll get back to tell you that while reading history, you would realize that most African countries, including your country and mine, are not yet ready for democracy. And we are being pushed to get through democracy. I'll explain why. It took many years for England to develop through democracy. They had the monarchs, they had despotism, absolute despotism, enlightened despots. In Austria, Catherine the Great.
People who didn't even speak.
Yes, so they passed through all that process. Language. Yes, they passed through all that process for decades, centuries, and grew into democracy. Now,
their own kind of democracy.
Yes, their own kind of democracy. Now, democracy has been imposed in Africa that is just 50, 60 years old. We've not passed through straightening of our society because Africans also have a serious problem. In quotes, we've been confused with the idea of democracy. Letting people, government for people, by the people, for the people. It's not absolute in Africa, where we know that the majority of the people are illiterate.
Exactly.
If you get a majority of illiterates that will vote for the wrong things, and we've always suffered that because we have not yet built in the enlightened despotism in our country. I'll give you an example of Libya. That's the kind of rule we may need in Africa, where some leader loves his country and he is firm. We are suffering from laissez-faire. people decide to do the things they want to do, we are very disorganized. The only thing we have as problem in Africa, especially south of the Sahara, is disorganization, dishonesty. Drivers don't want to follow driving ethics. Politicians want to get through cut short. Yesterday I was watching TV. It is a bag that was put in a rally in Kenya, and the politicians were running. We are still at that level. So I usually think that the first African head of state after independence had a little bit of that power, which has been totally used now with the idea of democracy and promising to punish African leaders in a setting, in quotes, court to judge presidents, and those presidents are usually only African presidents to be judged. We need a society where people have to have consciences, people have to respect the rules of our own cultural lineages, instead of just the fact that we need to pretend that we have to get some people there that are being used in quotes by some other people far away.
It's amazing that you said that, or you said all those things, because all of them are very potent and very, very important for us to actually take note of. Because as you said, we are sometimes led by the news. It's like, and then we still play this game where it's like we are supposed to be independent, but we're still quite dependent.
Yes. I'll tell you something. Right now in my country, this is the saddest moment we have in our country.
I guess in my country as well.
Yes, because in Cameroon, I feel the pain. We are in serious pain because of what we didn't cause. Still the imperialist. Now, after the partition of Africa, which we did not participate, Cameroon did not participate in the partition of Africa. Nigeria did not participate in Germany in the partition of Africa. But they partitioned Africa after the Second World War. They decided to get the Germans out, and they still came again and partitioned Africa. Then, you remember, Chad and Ghana are of the upper voter.
Yes.
They cut it, gave it to the French. The French were managing Togo, with the idea of mise en valeur. The English indirect rule, it happened to us, and it's destroying us today. The English of the southern part of Cameroon were managing Cameroon through the Eastern Regional Conference of Nigeria, Owolowo. Then the French, they cut it and they sent it. It was with the French with two different cultures. Two different cultures. The French, where their own idea of imperialism was forcing, and they had to use what they call in French mise en valeur, but the English were using the indirect rule through chiefs. So now the English method finally developed a little bit more than the French. That's why Nigeria is developed. That's why most of the English countries in Africa are developed. And then later on, with this development, we were now taken back to meet our brothers of the French-speaking part of Cameroon. And today, that marriage is on serious tension. They did not consider, while putting us back, the different cultural values. They did not consider the different ideas of state and mentality that were put in the two different ways of management between the French and the English. And it's been boiling, and it's been going through, and now you know those who are suffering? It is us. The same people who did this partition, they've been doing everything around the world. Nobody is saying anything. Anglophones have been moving and talking. Nobody is saying anything. The other side, if you know the history well, part of Yola used to be Cameroon too. So it's because, well, I still think that we Africans are used. I see sometimes, you see water cannons. You see these big water cannons that we use in throwing itchy water on rioters in Africa? And the same people will go and report to the United Nations. Africa has never, ever developed water cannons. When did we fix water cannons? When did we fix the guns?
On that note of the question of when did we fix water cannons, when exactly did we even sit to discuss amongst ourselves, this is where we want to go? I'm going to ask you to hold that thought, and we'll go on a break, and we'll be back very shortly. It's still Arize Conversations on Heritage Television, and my guest, of course, is Mr. Aleni Menget. Don't go away. See you shortly.
Heritage Television. promoting African culture and heritage at its best. From talk shows that concern you to both local and international news that relates to you. From grassroots football to African children's programs. Heritage Television. We cover your social and special events like weddings, birthdays, church anniversaries, and so on, and broadcast them live on our apps and online. Heritage Television, broadcasting everything about culture and heritage. Heritage Television. We've got it covered. Do download our apps on both Android, iOS, and Windows mobile platform. Heritage Television, your very own TV station.
Welcome back. It's still Arize Conversations on Heritage Television, our Pan-African TV station. I am Her Royal Highness Princess Mardo Adedo Sholari, the host of the show, and today I have my amazing friend, wonderful guest, Mr. Alene Menget.
Thank you.
And we were talking about Africa, our history, the politics of it. And you have listened to him and heard how very passionate he is. And people also know me, so it seems it's like two hearts feeling the same way about the same issues. Africa is very dear to us. We, the now generation, are the ones that need to fix it. If we don't fix it, what do we hand over to that coming generation that we're supposedly working hard to hand over to? So how do you think, or what would you say is the way forward before we move on to one of the other topics that I want to discuss?
The most important thing that's the way forward is already what we're doing. We've gone to school. That is why there are lots of agitations, because we've come to reasoning. I'll tell every African parent, send your children to school. Let them get to the best schools, and let's be thinking out of the box. Let's not just see what is happening on TV. You and I are journalists. We know how to fix stories. Let's not just believe all the stories that come on in the international TV. Let's not just believe all this, because it has been proven and is evident that Africans are the least people in the minds of those who rule the world. So we must think, sometimes we should use our disadvantages to our advantages. To accept, first of all, what and how they have placed us. And the only solution is to work hard and believe in us. I am somebody who believes, and I've seen lots of Africans who have succeeded because they have built in just one thing in them. Education, and the next thing is confidence. We need to believe that we can do many things. We need to believe in ourselves. We need to believe in our institutions. We need to believe that we also are human beings who were created the same like the white man. Because today, the problem is not just racism. We also suffer from some complex. Some Africans really suffer from some complex. And you see it from their day-to-day actions. But on the other hand, it's getting to a global world where in the next future, people will be judged on their self-intelligence. People will be judged on their ability, like Martin Luther King said, because the world is wide open and you could get to the social media and tell the world exactly what you want to be, and you become that.
Wonderful. I always say no one can tell the story of a place or people except the main actors. You must have sat where they sat, felt their pain, understand their challenges, know exactly where they're coming from before you can then say, oh, I'm an expert on African
That's it.
affairs.
That's exactly it.
We are the experts.
Yes.
You must have felt how I feel before you can stand up and say, you know my story, or you have an antidote for it.
That's it.
So,
and no person can tell our stories more than us.
We are the best storytellers.
Yes, of course.
That much we know, and we've seen that in the various things that we've been able to do when it comes to our documentaries and our films. So talking about that, now I'm rolling into the more creative world, which is television.
Telling the stories,
theater, film, music, entertainment, poetry, the works, dance. what is your take on where we're going with all those nuggets that we have in this beautiful basket?
I'll come back here. It's an extremely beautiful question that I've wanted to talk to lots of people about. And don't take me wrong if I always want to get things back to Cameroon.
Because that's your home base.
Yes. Still mixed culture that destroyed us somewhere again. The French journalism and idea of entertainment, it's totally different from the idea of English entertainment. Even in journalism, the French, they speak very fast. We speak slowly if you want to speak good English. The French will do more of entertainment, like interviews. We investigate in journalism. Now, somewhere along the line, we were unfortunate, or rather fortunate, because I don't know how to put it, we got bilingual, where we now blended two cultures and we created something else that may not be working. What built the Commonwealth countries in Africa is what the English left. That is why I always go back to talk about what and how the difference of English countries in Africa are far off better than French countries in Africa when it gets to entertainment. It is because of some few things that were left there. You can compare the two. Now, get through Nigeria, Namibia, South Africa, all those TVs, or those countries that will use DSTV lineage. It's multi-choice Africa. Multi-choice Africa backed up English-speaking countries. That is why your country has Big Brother Africa to enjoy. They have Mnet to enjoy. But in our country, they totally forget the English-speaking population. I'll tell you the reason why.
Even with the...
Yes, of course.
All French...
Yes, of course. I'm a journalist.
Are you kidding me?
I will tell you this. I'm a journalist who wanted to participate in the awards that CNN is giving to rich journalists in Africa. And the first year I had to put a documentary there, I went and Cameroon was not in the list. And I was asking myself, why is Cameroon not on this list? Only to go find out that Cameroon was in the list, but in an inferior category called French Africa. But my documentaries were in English. But I still put them there, I don't know, but I knew I was not going to win because first, mine, they considered I would be talking French. If they divided Cameroon and they could not take care of the English population of Cameroon, that's then not fair. I ask you another question. You know Big Brother Africa that pushed TV around Africa?
Yeah.
It picked up small countries like Namibia. It picked up Ghana. Have you ever seen a Cameroonian on Big Brother Africa? It's because we are not selected on the multi-choice Africa. The DSTV change of evolution throughout English-speaking Africa does not relate to our country. It ends somewhere. Have you seen us? They consider us each time they want to do the international awards as Central Africa. And Central Africa, it's a typical complete Francophonie idea. But the best artists of Cameroon come from the English-speaking part of Cameroon. And we've taken time to grow, especially in the new generation music. But each time we go to these awards, they consider us a French country. So these are some of the things that I'll get back to say, still because our blend, it's not gone through, but within the years we have worked until we are in a boom now. Because in the past, cinema was dependent on what camera people will come from France and shoot. Sure. But with the coming of home TV, home movie, through Nigeria, Ghana, we have developed. And Cameroon now has CFI. Yes. Yeah, now we have our own CFI, Cameroon movie industry, that is picking up. And it's far better off than what the Francophones in our country have been doing. Why? Because we associate with Nigerians, and because of the fact that Nigerian stars come in, they now associate us and say, these people, could they do this? They're trying to catch up now. Whereas we have the best stories to tell, because we are the bilingual country. We are that country that has 260-something different tribes and stories not told yet. But the stories are not told because of, like the Francophones in those days in Cameroon, were still using the real old cinema method. You go there to still, but they are now getting into the home movie method like we're doing. So you see how complicated our own situation is. Then get into like music. Today, our population, the English-speaking part of Cameroon, is about 20%. So if a good artist from the English-speaking part must sell to the 80%, he has to be using cliches in the French language. You have to build a song in English now, you start pushing cliches in the French language because you need the 80%. But
it's the game of numbers, isn't it?
We thank God today, the world is global. I still always come to settle on that. You could still get to YouTube and cut short, take a different direction and still make an international name.
Somewhat. Thank you so much for that analysis of the the movie industry and a little bit of the music industry. Now let's ask you your views about how powerful documentaries are.
Yeah, that's my specialty. I have about 250 documentaries. Yes. And I'm grateful. I've done some very daring documentaries, Mami Wata, the cemetery where I went to look for a ghost. But I didn't see ghosts. I ended up coming up with people who steal human. The stories there online. I've done some of those daring documentaries. Now, the most exciting thing that I love documentaries is because each time I think about shooting a movie and I think about the cast and crew that will be too huge and I want to tell so many stories before I die, I decide to take a cameraman and we take the risk, and I know that I'm going to be telling the story in 26 minutes or 30 minutes in the next few days. So I have been able, documentaries, if we don't keep them, because our stories, I keep telling you, are not our stories. The stories of Africa that we see are stories that we have been told. Our main source of stories was oral tradition.
Yes.
Somewhere, those people who wrote it altered it. Now those stories are still there. I'll tell you, in our country, Nigerians stay on water. They've been there for 52 years. In Vuri is the stretch of water that gets how we got our name. Rhodos, Cameroon, River of Prawns, Cameroon, then Cameroon. They've been there for 60 years, living on water with deep sticks there, fishing. If you go there and you see the beauty of how the blend of two people could be, I've been there. Those are documentaries that, even if you want to rely and stay only on the social aspect of investigating people's life, we are in a virgin land. You know why we're in a virgin land? Yes, because if you want to watch any movie today or documentary from the United States or Europe, they are totally exhausted. They are now looking on possibilities to do on documentaries on how people will be fighting people in Jupiter. I don't know. Yes, they are now looking on possibilities to make Iron Man or somebody who is flying. But I'm telling you that Africa is virgin. We have stories we have not told. Independent stories, the ones we are putting right here. Nigerians have been telling their stories for some time now, although they have been linking their stories only to witchcraft and the church. But we have stories. It's a virgin land. And I think documentaries, if we keep them on, the best market for us will be the European and the American market.
Re-educating.
Yes, I gave them an example. I gave an example to a friend I was talking with, who was working at BBC, and I told him that he was just, I said, what documentary? I said, I have a documentary in a man from my country who has 7 wives. Then that's when he turned around and looked at me. It's impossible. What are you talking about? I say, I'm telling you, I have a documentary here. He's married with 7 wives and he is successful. He said, let me see. That's when he knew that, okay. You see those stories, there has been. And
there still is.
Like the gentle.
Again, from documentaries, I want us to examine again our music. There's that saying that says music is, if music be the food of love, play on. We know that music plays a very integral role in the lives of the African, wherever, north, south, east, west, central. Africa is what binds us together. And Africa is also very linked with our spirituality. Because the typical African man or woman is not religious. We are spiritual. I think religion came in with the importation of other faiths. How would you analyze our music and our spirituality, especially what you might have seen yourself? Both as a person who's in the creative world and as a student of history.
You realize music, first of all, is usually spiritual. And it comes with the thought of human mentality and psychology at a particular moment. Why our music is more spiritual is the fact that we have suffered. Each time you realize that you give more work to a house girl, that's when you have melody coming from a sweet song from that house girl or slave. So the Negro spirituals, I mean, when we finally, that's why we are the best in the United States, the black man is the African, is because of the train of suffering they went through, that they had all that. Each time you are suffering, there is this idea that spiritually you're filled with some idea that you just have to live with a particular song. Now, there are so many bad things that have happened to Africa that we will want to spiritually feel free, and sometimes you only can turn to God. And that's how we flow, and that's why we are leading. Now, getting back to our cultures, which we tried for many years to stay within what we grew with in music, and we realized that we would not go multi-platinum with exactly what we have as our traditional music. Like in the high life in Nigeria, had to get a bit of foreign beats, but the story and the guitar stayed. Like the Makusa and the Bikuti in Cameroon, but it has at a certain point we keep our tradition in the guitars and just change the beats. So I think that talking music and spirituality for Africa, we still have that strange, strong point that the world has not seen.
The world has not seen.
Yes, the world has not seen. They are trying to see, and they're trying to associate a lot with African music today because of some of those traditional gongs, and that's still coming from even the multi-platinum sales songs with the international beats. And coming back to where I come from that I love so much, Cameroon, we are at the boom, especially the English-speaking artists. Mr. Leo is in the United States. I hear that P Square are fighting to sign for him. We have Jovi. I hear that the guy who did We Are the World with Michael Jackson wants to sign him. It's our turn. Everybody's got his turn. I know before now, there was a little problem. Just like we are going down on football. Before now, remind me, in Nigeria, every song that got there that was good was called Makusa.
Yes.
Then after a while, Makusa failed. It reduced and we went down. And you guys came out and developed your high life.
And our Afrobeats.
And your Afrobeats. Now it's our turn. We have gotten into the idea of going back to our Makusa, removing just the strings of the guitar and filling it with the Afrobeats. So we are in for a different ball game.
So
that's where we are using.
Can we say that you preached our Afrobeat?
No, our Afrobeats was a Fela Manu Dibango stuff. It was for the whole region. Even a Franco Reshuro, Tabule, all of them stayed on Afrobeat. It is how much you could develop yours into your own peculiar style. So it's been the whole of the central and west part of Africa that have been struggling with Afrobeats. We pushed our own with the Doualas, with the Makusa rhythm, while you were pushing yours with High Life with the Ghanaians. But somewhere along the line, because of, let me remind you, your population, which plays a big advantage, took you in front. But we are coming. The amount of songs you will see in Cameroon this year and next year, the boys have had confidence. The girls have had confidence. The videographers have had confidence. And Heritage TV, just tell me to connect you some of these videos.
Well, of course, we know that goes without us. We already know that. It's a done deal.
Thank you very much.
It's a done deal. So if you're out there and you're from Cameroon and you're watching, ensure that you key in with us, ensure that you contact us, and of course, don't forget to speak to your man, Alene Menget. Now, another thing I was going to talk to you about is the power of words. The fact that your father studied literature, and it sort of imbued that into you, making you learn words and what they meant and the use of words.
At a very young age, very tender age, yes.
And then you went on to study history. You know, history is full of words.
Yes.
You cannot study history and not be powerful with words. How have you used the wealth of words that you have in forming your stand-up comedy presentation?
Oh.
To be a stand-up comic, you must be quick.
Thank you again. Then let me start from you, because we copy. You have a population. You see, from the beginning, everybody was mocking an Igbo man who had a typical Igbo accent. blending two words with English. Then the Yoruba man in your most famous Giringori, and that's how you started your comedy. In our own country, we have this kind of tongues that we are trying to develop now. We have the bouncers who play with words in their own way. We have the Batibos, where I come from. We play with words in our own way. So we have built our own foundation of contemporary comedy. Then we have the mixture of Pidgin, English, and French, which is something else in Cameroon, which will never ever leave us. So let me tell you a bit of what you will not understand. Say, like, we mix sometimes the three languages, like, someone want to say where to go. It's simple, where do you think you're going? But it's our own tongue that we want to sell. It's like what you like. I think just start to talk for you now, you know. For one can we will talk. I'm not sort of surprised you. Yeah, it's comedy, and it's a tongue that in those days behind we will insult people who have this natural blend of tongue. But with the way things are going on, Mr. Beans here is playing with English. Why shouldn't we play with what we have as nature? So we have transformed those words that our fathers left, not just my father, blended them in English, French, and Pidgin, and today our comedy is special. Like, I'd like to do some for you in a trilingual method. Say when one can't look like I did for do one television station, so one call Heritage. Then you know one. You are at the TV station that you call Heritage. Okay. Then one don't know say il faut que quelqu'un vienne ici voir que vous êtes bien avant de want talk, because when you want to look at people where they know things very well, you come to Heritage TV. So I've spoken 4 different languages. Exactly. That's where our comedy stands. And I tell you, Cameroon is unique. It's just that lack of confidence, but we are coming. Now, good news is I've been able to see, we've been able to meet some very great people here. I've gone to a couple of Nigerian comedies. We will always hang on you because you are nice people. And Sam Fungot, one of the people who brought me here, came here for the sister's 50th anniversary. He took me...
Yes, Sam Fungot.
Sam Fungot, yes.
Sam Fungot?
You know him?
Sam Fungot?
Yeah.
That's my brother.
He bought me. Yeah, I came for the sister's 50th anniversary to be MC. That's one of the businesses I do. I'm a good MC. Good. So when I got there, then we started. Sam Fungot is creating with some other group, Cameroon Forum, with a forum where we could get 5-6 comedians to come to London every year for a comedy show like you people. We'll start blending with you people. Then later on, we'll create us. Then we'll build contemporary comedy in our own method. So that's it. So we are coming. I've been able to meet comedy organizers here. I've been able to meet artist managers here. And I think there is no way. Yeah, there is room for us to play with those our words. We don't want to imitate anybody. We want to call our own people Papa, not Oga. That's it.
Very good. Now, moving from comedy, what would you say is the thing that you're most passionate about out of all the caps that you wear?
I want to send out information. I want to send out information.
You want to send out?
Yes. Africa.
So the journalist in you is what you're passionate
about? No, it is not the journalist in me. It's difficult in Africa to say things right as a journalist. That is why I pass through comedy. I cannot criticize
openly
a minister openly in my country. That's why my comedy ranges is the mayor and the parliamentarian. I'm usually a parliamentarian calling a mayor.
So there's a lot of satire.
Satire, and I will make sure it comes that way. Now, I cannot go on a documentary and investigate hearsay. I cannot go on a documentary and investigate what I hear of embezzlement. But I can simply do a comedy that I can match the toes of not using words that will carry me to court. Like, well, I don't hear, say that Minister of Finance, don't you money? It's very, see, it changes if you want to ask in English that, have you heard the Minister of Finance stole money? These are 2 different things. Well, I don't hear, say, you know, he's joking. But are you so tired? Yes. So, in a nutshell, I don't want to choose any like my major. For sustainability, I'll do documentaries because they can sell and I need to put food on my table. But I'm using all the methods to pass through my message. Let the politicians be playing their part in my country. My message is to prepare the Cameroonian mentality to understand how the world works, and to believe in ourselves, and to realize that we need to start fixing our houses from inside before we expect other people to fix them for us. To realize that no matter how many governments change in Africa, if we do not change our attitude of loading vehicles, overload, we will still have accidents. If we do not change our attitudes of pissing on the road, we will still not be respected. If we do not change our attitudes of destruction and gossiping, so I prefer now to come on to contemporary comedy. While people are laughing, they are changing. Why people are laughing, they are changing. Why people are laughing, they are changing. How do you stop corruption in Nigeria or Cameroon?
Big question, actually.
Through news. It's impossible. You're only going to report. But let me tell you how it could be stopped. Because it's a cankerworm amongst generations. You look at a little child, some villages or towns in our country, it happens in your country too. The child at 10 years is already doing business, 9, 8, 10, yes. And it's already now selling mangoes. We already know in Africa that under the mango, under the bucket of the mango, you need to hit it. Yeah. That's cheating, corruption. When you hit it, first of all, you put the unripe mango, then in the middle, you put the rotten mango, then on top, you put the best. That's a child at 8 years already, and he doesn't even know that's corruption. Those who are selling...
Because that's how he was molded.
Yes. Those who are selling sugar cane. You see, in between, at the middle, you have unripe. At the end, you see beautiful. So if you do not go and start picking some of these things and use comedy to teach these children, yes.
Do you take your comedy to school?
It's today with the electronic media. It goes on the phones. So, yes. Yeah.
Well, how about the young students? You know, sometimes when students are in like secondary school, they're not allowed to have mobile phones for reasons.
Yeah.
Best known to parents.
Yeah, I think, yeah. But we've not thought of that. I've not actually thought of even running concerts back at home, but now I would go back and do...
An idea.
Yeah, but yes, of course, I'll pay you for the idea. It's a brilliant idea, but it will be difficult right now, even for schools, because, in quotes, don't ask another question after this. Students of the English part of Cameroon are not going to school for a couple of months now because of some reasons we shouldn't bring here. So each time some of those things come and we feel terrible, but it's reality. But when schools will start, we will look on other possibilities to let children get to watch what we have through comedy and try to see if we could change, to tell them that before you sacrifice a policeman for taking bribe, remember you gave him bribe. So you are the corrupter and that policeman is corrupt. So we need to bring out this thing in comedy and teach people, yes.
Thank you so much. Also, now time is up. We have about 7 more minutes. And what I'd like to ask you now is, going forward, what are the plans that you have? Why are you in the UK? Are you going to come back? My last question.
I have met fantastic people here. I came here to do a movie for Dorothy Diamond and Sam. I did a movie for Dorothy Diamond. Then I met this fantastic guy, Nelson Spikes. The Nelson Spike Nollywood. Yeah, we've done.
Call him chief strategist.
Yes, chief strategist. He's made me do 2 other movies. So I've done 3 movies. And right now, we're working on the script to shoot the last one before I go. And we've worked, like I told you, on the comedy show. And I am willing to come to the UK every 3 months to shoot a movie. I'm not coming alone. I want to come with our comedians. For the comedians who are watching, we'll be looking for comedians that will come back with me to Cameroon, because if you come and stay here, they will not allow other comedians to come. Yes, so I want the comedians who are coming should also behave like me, travel and go back home and develop home. Because soon they will refuse. It wouldn't work, because that's the only problem we have. So those are the things. Let me use this opportunity to thank Dorothy Diamond. Let me use this opportunity to thank Bridget Benjamin, and most especially Mr. Spike.
Bridget Benjamin, my sister.
Wow.
How come you know all my people?
Well, then somehow we could be related. Yes. Yes. So that has gone for me a long way. Sam, the president of the Cameroon Forum, with those few meetings we've had, and because of Spike, I've been able to meet Two Faces manager, other big artists in town, and we are developing a connection that we'll have to use forever. Not for me. The younger artists back home, I can identify with lots of them, and I see the vision that I mean, positions I could not get at their age, that I would like to place them there.
Fantastic. And last but not the least, what is your, if you want to speak to the camera, what is your message to viewers of Heritage Television and, of course, the management of Heritage Television?
I should be frank with you. Dynamism is what has made Nigeria be the biggest giant of Africa. I saw it the first day I got to Heritage. And I thought of my country, how people of mature age will be nice and work together. The idea, I mean, Nigerians support each other. Nigerians are behind their shows. Nigerians use positive words. The most important thing is positive word. When you, amongst Nigerians, you hear perfect. You are amazing. It's beautiful. You see, even if you don't know it, you realize somebody is pushing you with words positively. That is what we lack in my own community. In Heritage TV, how long did I get here on the red carpet? Somebody introduced me, the next second I'm there, the next second I'm signing this, the next second, and that is how you people have developed Nigeria. So Heritage, I don't know what to say. I can only let Cameroonians watch you a lot, and I will give you some of my documentaries.
Definitely.
So that's it. Yes, sir, that's it.
As you said, you'll be coming every 3 months.
I hope to be coming every 3 months.
Each time you come, we'll be able to roll out the red carpets.
Yes.
And bring you on the Arize conversations. I will say, how far have you done?
Thank you.
What have we been able to achieve?
To achieve.
And where are we going again next?
Thank you very
on
much.
On that note, my dear Mr. Alene Meget.
Thank you very much. And for those of you behind the camera, you know, let me continue talking with them there and watch those very beautiful, let me speak like a Nigerian, marvelous, fantastic equipment we have there. Amazing, fantastic equipment we have behind there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So much, Alene.
Thank you.
I'm speaking with Alene Meget. He is, of course, an amazing African, Pan-African, well, Cameroonian by birth, but an African at heart. And I think a child of the world because he wants to touch everywhere. His country, Cameroon, is very dear to him. He's not walking this walk alone. He's carrying his people along with him. And we at Heritage Television are here to ensure that we put the spotlight on people like that and let you know that we do have great Africans amongst us. Till same time again, when we come your way, it's Her Royal Highness Princess Bride Adedo Sholari, and of course, the entire crew of Heritage Television saying, continue to arise as agents of positive change. See ya.
2.
Heritage Television. Promoting African culture and heritage at its best. From talk shows that concern you to both local and international news that relates to you. From grassroots football to African children's programs. Heritage Television. We cover your social and special events like weddings, birthdays, church anniversaries and so on, and broadcast them live on our apps and online. Heritage Television, broadcasting everything about culture and heritage.